Charlie. Revengers assemble. Chris Hemsworth and Tessa Thompson both just confirmed Thor 4 in the last week while they're doing press for Avengers Endgame and other movies. Chris Hemsworth is in the middle of the Avengers Endgame tour. You've probably been seeing him posting footage all over China the past couple of days. But separately, Tessa Thompson has been doing press for a different movie elsewhere. She was also talking about Thor 4. So I'll break down what's going on, what that says about his arc during Avengers Endgame, what the actual stories for Thor 4 would be, and which characters would come back. Because say like Valkyrie obviously is coming back if Tessa Thompson is talking about it, but Korg and Meek are still alive, and if Taika is coming back, which they're talking about, then they would probably come back as well.
Oh, Meek, you're alive! He's alive, guys. What was your question again, bro?
So if you're new to the channel, be sure to subscribe to get all the Marvel videos. I'll be doing my non-spoilery Avengers Endgame review early next week, like Tuesday afternoon. We're less than a week away from it hitting theaters, so it's just going to get crazier and crazier as we head into the summer. There's a new round of that IMAX ticket giveaway too. All you have to do to enter is be a subscriber and leave a Thor comment on the video. I know you're all hoping for Beta Ray Bill because he keeps getting cut out of Thor movies at the last minute. Kevin Feige's like, yeah, we had him in the movie right up until the last little bit, but we decided we would save him for a future movie. So no worries, I'll talk about other new characters that they have not done from the Thor comics yet, the biggest ones. So starting with their quotes about Thor 4, this is what Tessa Thompson is saying. I heard the pitch has happened for another Thor film. I don't know how real the intel is. The pitch has already happened. I think the idea is that Taika would come back. Remember how we all thought that he was going to take Guardians of the Galaxy 3? Even Taika was making fun of that later. They also asked her where Valkyrie was during Avengers Infinity War, and since Tessa Thompson didn't get a script for that, she just makes up answers on the fly like, oh, she was at the bar getting really drunk the whole time. But the writers for Avengers Infinity War and Avengers Endgame and the Russos separately confirmed that Valkyrie, Korg, and Meek made it off of Thor's ship at the beginning of Avengers Infinity War before Thanos showed up with about half of the Asgardians that they had there. They went into hiding, then the snap happened, so about half of the half that escaped are still alive, with Valkyrie, Korg, and Meek still being alive post-snap. They did not get snapped because most of them pop up during Avengers Endgame. We don't know exactly what they're doing during Endgame, but they're just listed as being cast members during the movie. Chris Hemsworth quotes were a little bit different about Thor 4, basically just saying that he's going to re-sign his contract and come back. He said, I'd love to play this character for as long as anyone would let me. Of course, Kevin Feige is going to let him stick around forever. He's one of the few characters that legitimately lives longer than everyone else in the Marvel Universe. This is all coming from a recent interview he did in the last week. He said, I've loved it so much just talking about all the Marvel movies, but the combination of this many characters in this Phase 3, as Marvel calls it, you'll never have this interaction with this many people again. Who knows what the future holds and whether they do prequels or sequels or whatever, I'd be open to anything. But right now, this is where we finish up, talking about Avengers Endgame, obviously, because that's the movie they're currently promoting. I know his talk about prequels, sequels makes it kind of confusing about where they take the Thor character after the events of Avengers Endgame, but because of what their plans are, he is one of the few characters that probably survives Avengers Endgame, so I wouldn't worry too much about that. There's just a question about what he does during Avengers Endgame because the movie is 3 hours long and he is in very little of the trailer footage we've seen so far. So it seems like there's just a giant portion of the film where Thor is not around. So the short answer as to why Thor is probably going to survive Avengers Endgame and continue being a huge character in the MCU, make more films, is because he had so much fun filming Thor Ragnarok that it completely re-energized his enthusiasm for the character in the franchise itself. So you ask, what does this say about Thor's arc during Avengers Endgame, and when would they actually release Thor 4 in the Marvel Phase 4 schedule? Because we know what about 3 years worth of the 5 are going to be in terms of movies. Phase 4 is supposed to be around a 5-year plan per what Kevin Feige has said. You've seen all the Avengers Endgame trailers. It just seems like during the movie, there's a portion where they attempt to rally, they fail hard, and it truly becomes Avengers disassembled for a brief part of the film before they come back, rally. You have all these quantum suits and whatever this plan winds up being, where they bring everyone back from the ashes. So the way I'm thinking about it right now, just based on the footage we've seen, even though it could be very misleading, is that it's Thor disassembled a la Avengers disassembled before they rally, have their big Avengers assemble moment, and finally defeat Thanos and fix everything that he did. This is when they would be able to release Thor 4 based on the Phase 4 movie schedule so far. So we have Black Widow and the Eternals movie happening next year in 2020. The year after that, 2021, it's Black Panther 2, the Shang-Chi movie, Doctor Strange 2. The year after that, 2022, is Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, maybe a Captain Marvel sequel, so Thor 4 could be the third film during 2022. In order to hit that release date, they'd have to officially hire Taika to come back, maybe another co-writer, sometime by next year. So they announce it next year. They spend a little over 2 years writing the script, making the movie. They get it out by November 2022. Thor Ragnarok was a November movie and it did great during that date, so no reason to think that they wouldn't keep it as their third film in whichever year they decide to release it. Like I said, Kevin Feige explained, Marvel Phase 4 is currently like a 5-year plan, so that could either be 2 Avengers films sandwiched in that 5-year period, or 1 mini Avengers movie inside a major character spin-off film a la Captain America Civil War where you just stuff a whole bunch of Avengers in it, then maybe just capped off with 1 big Avengers film a la Avengers something something like New Avengers, because it would be the new roster post-Avengers Endgame with newer characters introduced between now and then. So what would the actual story for Thor 4 be, given the events of Avengers Endgame and where the characters left at the end of that movie? There's only a couple big Thor characters and big Thor twists from the comics that they have not done yet. And you have to remember that, say like Thor Ragnarok, for instance, is the combination of 4 different comic book storylines with a bunch of different characters mixed and matched. So as of right now, we know that there's probably going to be a new Asgard somewhere in the Nine Realms, even if it's not in Norway on Earth like they teased at the end of Thor Ragnarok. They could always swerve on that at the end of Avengers Endgame, but hopefully they'll have some moment during Endgame that will address what happened with that. Either there is a new Asgard, or they'll just explain where the Asgardians that survived are, because Asgard isn't a place, it's a people. Thor's people, at least some of them, will have survived. Thor has to officially become King Thor, so I would imagine whatever the story of Thor 4 is, part of that is his early days trying to be a legit king of his people. Based on the events of Avengers Endgame, it's complete chaos. Obviously, half of the universe has been snapped and is being brought back. Remember that that's happening on every planet that's inhabited in the universe, not just planet Earth. So like half of the Skrulls, half of the Kree got snapped, half of all the other people amongst the other 9 realms got snapped. Right now they're doing War of Realms, which is the Dark Elf Malekith uniting part of the 9 realms to fight against the other half, Thor leading the other half and all the good characters to try and defeat him. They obviously killed off Malekith during Thor the Dark World, so they'd have to change that a little bit, but it's always possible that in the chaos of everyone coming back, some of the other Thor villains get unsnapped. They seize on the opportunity provided by chaos. Chaos is a ladder for all you big Game of Thrones fans. They already combined Gore the God Butcher with Angela from the comics to make the Hela character, so you can't really do Gore the God Butcher, but you can do the Mangog, which is kind of like another God Butcher style character. The thing about Mangog that actually works with the stuff that's happening during Avengers Infinity War and Avengers Endgame is that he's sort of summoned by the spirit of all the hatred of lesser races when they're put upon by people like Thanos or other gods in the MCU. So Weird God comes along, kills a bunch of their people, they want revenge, all of their negative emotions sort of forms this Man-God character, summons him, and he's more powerful than most of the gods. He goes around killing all the gods to get revenge for these people. What happened during Avengers Infinity War? Half of the universe got snapped. Think about all the collective hatred and resentment that comes out of that, how people would hate the gods for that, even though technically the Avengers will fix everything by the end of it. Really easy way to explain how you unleash Mangog on the universe, going around killing all the higher beings in the MCU. Like I said, they've already done Angela and the Hela characters, kind of combined them too, but they have not done Cole Borson, Odin's brother from the comics, and they haven't done Balder, Thor and Loki's older brother from the comics. Cole Borson, though, was the big villain of Fear Itself, even though Fear Itself was not a super popular comic book storyline. If you're a big fan of the deep cuts, they're getting ready to do the Eternals franchise in the MCU. There was a big Thor Eternals saga storyline in the comics where he went up against a lot of the classic Eternals characters. So that franchise winds up being super popular and it takes off that they could always cross him over with those characters. Like everybody loved Thor with the Guardians of the Galaxy during Avengers Infinity War a la Asgardians of the Galaxy. They could do more of that as well too.
We got 2 ships and a large assortment of morons. So me and Group will go with the Pirate Angel here, and the morons will go to nowhere to try to stop Thanos. Cool? Cool.
So cool. I bid you farewell and good luck, morons. Bye.
The only other things that we can really confirm about Thor 4 are the characters that are coming back. So Valkyrie obviously returning, like I said, hopefully introducing Beta Ray Bill, but probably Korg and Meek coming back too, because Taika would be the one directing and writing the movie. I know everybody's wondering what's going to happen with Loki at the end of Avengers Endgame. He did say, "The sun will shine on us again, brother." So I do think that they'll pay that moment off at the end of Avengers Endgame, but I don't think that it's going to bring Loki back to life. I think he'll just be around like a spirit a la Odin in Valhalla, speaking to Thor on occasion. So you can bring Tom Hiddleston back to play the character. He can be as mischievous as ever, but technically he'll still be dead.
I have been falling for 30 minutes!
You just have to remember that for Asgardians, death is not the end. Hela, even though she died at the end of Thor Ragnarok supposedly, she is probably ruling over their hell right now. But let me know in the comments, what do you want them to do with Thor 4? What do you want that movie to be? I'm supposed to be seeing Avengers Endgame early next week sometime, so if that works out, then I'm allowed to post my non-spoilery Avengers Endgame review Tuesday afternoon, so just look out for that. As long as you have alerts enabled for my channel, you'll see the video when I post it. All my Avengers Endgame Easter eggs, my spoilery review and post-credit scene video, all that stuff won't post till the end of the week after the movie actually comes out in theaters. So no worries about that. Obviously a lot of Game of Thrones happening this weekend. Leave all your video requests in the comments below. While you wait for everything, click here for that last really big Avengers Endgame trailer, and click here for my Game of Thrones Season 8 Episode 2 trailer. Thank you so much for watching. Everybody stay awesome. I'll see you guys tonight.